Hope you all are doing well. So today our topic is about zoning system. And today we want you to think more about our education. Even be active. Okay, so first question is, have you ever heard about zoning system? And what do you think about that? Answer me. Okay, so our group will explain to you what does that mean by zoning system. The zoning system is a method to divide the area of schools into some parts, so students will be able to choose their schools near their house. This system's aim is to standardize the quality of education. But then, what do you think about the zoning system in Indonesia? Do you think that has been running properly? Based on our small research, we found out that the zoning system in Indonesia creates another problem. Even though in developed countries such as Australia, England, Japan, and also America, the zoning system has been showing a great result and also has been improving the quality of education, but it doesn't mean it can be applied in all of the schools in Indonesia.
Lack of motivation to learn and academic performance. The problem that often occurs is the zoning system more prioritizes the distance between students' home to the school compared to the national exam scores, which can result in a decrease of students' motivation to learn and achieve good academic performance. The best scores on exams or even a good academic performance do not appear useful in a zoning system because it places more emphasis on the distance between the schools and the students' home. Next is there will be a gap between the clever and the average in the class. When it comes to entering new school, students will come from the different previous schools. Some of the students might come from favorite schools which have a better quality, while some of them might not come from a not flagship school. And every student has their own capability and ability. Students who don't really pay attention on learning will affect others who have really good attention on learning before. Next is the zoning system might be difficult to be applied in all of areas in Indonesia. According to the one article in tirto.id, Sudik said that there are still several reasons that it's not time to implement the zoning system in Indonesia. One of them is the uneven quality of education in all schools in Indonesia. The zoning system has not been implemented properly, especially in junior high school and senior high schools. Some areas, most of them are in the sub-district capital, and there is a distance from the village to the sub-district capital which can be taken for hours. Since they have different sources and also obstacles, in those countries they just apply in some town or a state. They don't apply this zoning system in a whole country.
Hey guys, zoning system be judged as a way to increase education quality, but it doesn't mean we can apply in Indonesia education without concerning other needed aspects. At least there are 4 countries like Japan, Australia, US, and England that have been applying zoning system. Guys, they have successfully implemented this system. You know why? Because there are several obligations which are the main points. And the first point is all schools have the same quality standards. The standard of teaching and learning process is the same, all facilities are the same. For example, all schools have sports fields of the same size, have swimming pools, all have multi-purpose buildings, shoe lockers, bag lockers, tables and chairs for the same study, the same magnetic whiteboard, the same toilets. In a sense, all schools have the same quality and facilities. And the second point is the teacher is role. The teacher and also the principal were rolled over to all schools. So there are no good teachers in these schools, while the other schools there are not good. All teachers have teaching competence, so it can be said that there are no teachers who work carelessly. Guys, from these differences, it shows that Indonesia applies a zoning system without considering important points in education. So, I think this system is difficult to implement in Indonesia. And the next evidence is those countries who have been applying this system cannot eliminate the image of favorite school. For example, in New York City that uses this system, it is not unusual thing that family will move to area that near to the favorite school. In New York, parents will try to move their place or residence so that their children can attend schools that answer favorites. As a result of the favorite school view, the selling and renting prices of property in the neighborhood tend to be higher. For the reason, it is not uncommon for some parents to circumvent the applicable regulation by entrusting their children to relatives or friends who live the neighborhood. However, one thing that can be adapted from the zoning system in New York is the access to clear and easy information about zoning division so that it doesn't cause overlapping zone locations. And back to the reality that all schools in New York have the same facilities and qualities.
Another opinion why we think that the zoning system is a bit tough to be applied in Indonesia because there is still another problem that needs to be solved, such as the problem in standard of education. The problem in standard of education such as the qualification of teacher and the standard of equipment and also infrastructure and then the development of schools. At first is the case of the qualification of teacher. We found that in reality that there is still a lot of teachers don't really meet the requirements, such as the teacher should have at least the bachelor degree. But then in reality still there is a lot of teachers don't have a bachelor degree. And then the next is about infrastructure and also equipment. It's really important to provide an adequate infrastructure and also equipment for students. But then we found out that there is still schools don't really have an adequate infrastructure and also equipment. And then the last is about development schools. The development of schools, we think that's still uneven. We mean that still a lot of rural areas don't really have schools, but then some of the developed areas have an adequate schools. That's not really good if we want to build the quality of education. And based on some countries that have been applying this method into their education field, it turned out that this system has given another effect to another field, such as economics and also community. Because why? It turned out that the area around the schools after the zoning system has been applying, it increases the price. It increases the price of the area. And that's how it can affect another field such as economics and also community. So I think the government in Indonesia needs to consider again what's the aim purpose or what's the main purpose of the zoning system to be applied. Can it be affected another field or not?
Okay guys, the conclusion from our group about zoning system is indeed, zoning system shows great results in some countries that have been applying it, and this is an innovative way to eliminate cases in education, but Indonesia government needs to evaluate and amend the regulation in Indonesia education so it will not create another problem.